Linear equations notes. Let's jump right in with slope. So the first thing you need to know about linear equations is how to find the slope. Positive slope is just going up from the left to the right, and that will look like a positive number over another positive number or a negative number over another negative number when you use a fraction. Okay, slope of 0 is just going to be a horizontal line, and that will look like 0 over a number. That's how it's going to look. So negative slope is going down from left to right. And that's going to look like a positive over a negative or a negative over a positive. And undefined slope is just a vertical line. And that's going to look like a number over 0. And off to the left over here, we can see that you can find slope by doing rise over run, or you can find slope by using the slope equation. All right, the slope equation is useful when you have 2 points, when you're given 2 points, or if you're using a table. And rise over run is useful when you have a graph. All right, so slope given 2 points. So we're going to go ahead and use the slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And let's go ahead and label these points up here. We can call this negative 2x1, and then this 5 is y1. This negative 3 is x2, and this negative 8 is y2. And then we can just kind of plug those in. Okay, so for y2, I'm going to put negative 8, and then for y1, I'm going to put a 5. For x2, I'm going to put negative 3. For x1, negative 2. And then we're just going to simplify that. Now you can use a calculator for this, or you can do whatever you need to do. So that looks like it's going to be negative 13 over, change to positive, negative 1, which equals 13. So again, since we have a negative over a negative, that just equals a positive. Okay, moving on to the next one. Slope from a table. So looking at this table, we can do the same thing. Or we can use what they call finite differences. So I'm just going to keep it simple. We'll call this x1, y1, x2, y2. So again, we have y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And we're just going to plug in the numbers. So instead of y2, we're going to put a 5. Instead of y1, we're going to put a 4. Instead of x2, we're going to put a 5. Instead of x1, we're going to put a 0. All right, and then we just calculate that. So 5 minus 0 is 1. 5 minus 4 is 1. 5 minus 0 is 5. And so this is our slope. Slope from a graph. Okay, so now we can use rise over run. So I'm going to write that down. Rise over run. So if we look at the graph, you need to find 2 points. We have a point here and here that we can use. So the rise is literally going to be like the vertical. So that would be 1, 2, 3. So 3 for rise. The run is the horizontal. 1, 2, 2. Now, if you need to know if it's positive or negative, I suggest that you just look at the line and then compare it to the positive slope and the negative slope. So hopefully it's very obvious that this is a negative slope, which means that this is going to be negative 3 over 2. It doesn't matter where you put the negative sign. You could put it next to the 3, or you could put it next to the 2, or you can put it out in front like that. Any of those are fine. If you don't remember negative and positive, just count. So since we had to count down, it's negative, and since we had to count to the right, that's positive. So that's another way you can remember. All right, what is the slope from the equation? This one's easy. Don't forget this is y equals mx plus b, and m is the slope, so 3 is the slope. Now, the slope from here is going to be negative a divided by b. All right, so this will be ax plus by equals c, so that'll be 5, negative 5, excuse me, divided by b, which is negative 2, and then that's just going to be 5 over 2. All right, so now down here we're looking at equations of lines, and then off to the left here you see we have slope-intercept form right there. Then we have point-slope form, and then we have standard form, which we just did in this example right here. That's standard form. All right, equation given 2 points. So if you have 2 points, you need to find the equation. The first thing you need to do is find the slope. So first, we're going to find the slope. And to do that, we're going to use the slope equation. So that's going to be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And make that line a little bit shorter. All right, so now let's go ahead and label. So we'll call that x1, y1, and then x2, y2, and start replacing. So instead of y2, we're going to put an 8. Instead of y1, we're going to put a 6. Instead of x2, we're going to put a 6, excuse me. And instead of x1, we're going to put a 3. And then just evaluate. So 8 minus 6 is 2, and 6 minus 3 is 3. And so that's going to be the slope. Now you need to decide, are we going to use slope-intercept form or point-slope form? We're going to use point-slope form because we have the slope here and we have a point here. So let's use point-slope form. That's going to be y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. All right, so let's just fill in what we know. Y is going to stay as a y. Do not change that. Y1, don't forget, that was 6 from up there. So that's minus 6 equals m. Don't forget the slope was 2/3. And then x stays the same, and x1 was 3. Okay, so you can leave your equation just like that. Or if you have to change it to slope-intercept form, we can do that real quick. You're going to have to distribute the 2/3, so that's going to be 2/3 x minus 2. And then you have y minus 6 over here, and then you just add 6 to both sides. And then I'll give you y equals 2/3 x plus 4. Okay, so your answer could stop here. That could be your answer. Or you can, oops, it's kind of hard to see. Or you can do this. Okay, so point-slope form is this one. Slope-intercept form is this one. What is the equation of the line that is graphed? Okay, so let's find the slope. All right, so we have to go to the right 2 times, and then we had to go up 3 times. So that's positive slope. Don't forget rise over run. The rise was 3, the run was 2. And then we need to find out the equation. So we can do point-slope form again, or you can use slope-intercept. I would not use slope-intercept because as you can see here, the y-intercept is kind of in between lines. It's kind of hard to tell. If you want to guess, you can guess, but if you want to just be safe and use point-slope form, that's fine also. All right, so I'm gonna use this point up here for my x1, y1. So that'd be negative 1, negative 1. So, oops, no equal sign. So that's going to be y minus negative 1 equals m, which was 3 over 2 times x minus negative 1. And let's clean that up a little bit. Don't forget a double negative is just positive, so that's y plus 1 equals 3 over 2 times x plus 1. And you can leave your equation like this if the instructions allow you to do so. All right, equation given a point and a slope. So this one's pretty easy. We're just going to plug it in. All right, so that's going to be y minus 4 equals 3/4 times x minus 5, and that's it. All right, equation of a vertical line. This one's very simple. If it's vertical, then it's going to be x equals a number. In this case, it's 2. And you can remember because it goes through the x-axis. So it's going to be x equals 2. It goes through the x-axis at 2. Similarly, this is going to be y equals because it goes through the y-axis, and it goes through the y-axis at negative 3. All right, last we have x and y intercepts. So to find an x-intercept, you're going to need to make y equal to 0. And to find a y-intercept, we're going to have to make x equal 0. So for a, we have 0 equals 2x plus 8. And then we just have to solve for x. So we're going to subtract 8 on both sides. That's going to be negative 8 equals 2x. And then divide both sides by 2. That's going to be negative 4 equals x. So that's the x-intercept. Okay, so you could do the same thing and find the y-intercept, but let's just try the y-intercept on B. Okay, so we have 2 times 0 plus 4, y equals 16. So for this one, we're going to try the y-intercept. So we found the x-intercept for this one. Now let's just practice finding the y-intercept over here. Okay, so 2 times 0 is 0. And then to get 4y by itself, we can just get rid of that 0 because 0 doesn't equal anything. And then we're going to divide both sides by 4, and then we get y equals 4. So the y-intercept for B is 0. I'm sorry, the y-intercept for B is 4.